I'm part of a team that's been working on Skinwalker Ranch. Maybe
Yes.
you've heard about that.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing is that the phenomena seems to be different, but it's all happening in the same place.
It is, yeah, yeah. I mean, what
it
we
has different faces, though.
it does. It have many faces, and what we've actually found is that not only is this phenomenon have many faces, George, but it also it's hyper-elusive. This phenomenon and it's also measures the intent of the observers. We know this from the shoot-down orders on UFOs in the UK. We know that there were reports coming from pilots saying, you know, I was just about to put my weapons lock on this thing, and this object did maneuvers, counter maneuvers against what I was going to do. How did they know that the pilots were just about ready to put lock on? We know that when we put camera equipment away, sometimes these things just appear for a short length of time. We're sure that this phenomenon is measuring the intent of the observer. We know that we've already got evidence of this sort of happening within the dual split experiments. You know, it shows that when we watch something or looking at something, we are actually somehow changing the aspects of what's actually happening. I think this phenomenon taps into that source. It taps into our very own source of observing the phenomena. But like I say, it's hyper-elusive. It represents so many different masks. I mean, we have the cryptids in the UK. We have Bigfoot sightings in the UK. There's no place where Bigfoot to hide in the UK. It's 53 miles to the sea in every location. Really, when tracking Bigfoot, it's all about usually following the food source. We don't have that in the UK, but yet we still have the UFO phenomena and we still have the Bigfoot sightings. It is, and seems to be all encompassed with paranormal phenomena as well. Spielberg did the same thing in his hit movie, Close Encounters. Wanted to make sure when he was working on real cases to put it into the film. That's why we have these scenes of paranormal incidents throughout the movie. He wanted to put it out there for what it truly represents.
When you tell someone, and I know from experience, when you tell someone, for example, talking about Skinwalker Ranch, all right, this intelligence is elusive and it's smart and it knows what you're going to do before you do it, and that's why we don't have good video of it. And you know, they go, oh, come on. You know, they have a hard time. Yeah.
Personally, I don't waste my time on skeptics.
Right.
I'm there about the work. I'll present what I find. A lot of the time, I go into the field and I'm experimenting with this communication, and I've had some fantastic results. But we're also able to see some of the particular elements, like, for instance, the work that crosses over into David Paulding's work, the missing 411. We see that connection with the rocks. We see this boulder connection, we see this cave connection, we also see the magnetic connection. We also see all these different connections that are now starting to pull in, and now we're starting to adapt the technology to help us spot key areas. And we already know about Skinwalker Ranch, and we see the magnetic anomaly at Skinwalker Ranch and how far that extends beyond the ranch up onto the top ridge where you've got all the rocks.
Well, we now know the DIA and the Pentagon have confirmed that the program that was studying the ranch was real and was their money behind it. And the premise for that program was, look, we're going to look at something beyond lights in the sky and that appears on radar maps, that somehow there's a connection between all this seemingly unrelated stuff. So,
There absolutely is, and
absolutely.
this is the problem that we face. You see, is that when we're glamorized, and this brings us back to the entire body conscious connection. When we're being glamorized, we're not listening to this whisper, this instinct that we have, and that is an exceptionally important thing, because when they're doing this and glamoring, we can't hear this and understand the components of our body that kickstarts the fight or flight. We're not listening to that anymore because we're watching this with this. And that connection is not being adhered to. And that's something we address within the new UFO course, which really hones in on this aspect of the body and listening to the body when we're experiencing and in these locations, trying to have some interaction with these beings.
What was the technology? What are you looking for from satellites?
Well, there are two main satellites in orbit, and what we're looking at is the gravitational anomalies, and most of all, the Earth's magnetic anomalies. Now, what we've noticed is that when we apply this to, say, over Google Images and Google Maps of the world, we can actually see where these areas of interest are. Now, when you statistically look through incidents of major UFO encounters, right back in history, can go as far back 100, 200 years, and you'll actually start to see that there's a connection between the locations of these incidents and the positive magnetic anomalies. So what we've done is we've managed to actually put this to the test many times, go out onto locations And we also found that there's an ancient connection, because it would seem that the ancients were, our ancestors were aware of these locations and built temples, resident chambers on these. They were very, important to those people. But now we're actually seeing that phenomena is still taking place in these locations. And what's interesting, it's cryptids, it's paranormal, it's ufological, it's all those things, that barrel of mysticism which is represented.
You have your own sort of Skinwalker Ranch.
We do. We have our own Skinwalker Ranch in the UK. Two great researchers, Paul Sinclair and Chris Turner, have been working on this case for about a year now, was alerted to the mutilation phenomenon that was taking place of sheep. And it's a small area. It's literally right on the cliffs, right next to the rock. And what's basically happening, these mutilations have been going on for quite some time, been finding sheep. But there are people that are reporting lights in the sky, strange sounds, cryptids, and of course there is an acute paranormal outbreaks around that location. It's very localized. It's within, like, say 6 miles, but it's very focused. And what we've actually done is that the investigators have managed to go down and actually get readings on meters, radiation meters, from exactly the point where these animals have actually been found.
So it sounds like some of these anomalies, magnetic anomalies that are measurable, have been there a long time. Are they created by the phenomena, or the phenomena goes there because they're already there?
This is where we start to go back at, and to understand this, we need to look at the manuscripts from our ancient past, and that's where a lot of my work would take me back into the ancients and what the messages they have left for us. And from an Irish standpoint, that was very, very important, because when you go back and you start looking at that, then we start to understand that these things, they come forward, and they will give us that same old story, we're here for the betterment of the planet and the human race and everything else. Their main interest is keeping this globe intact, because that's the way they come through. This is not coming from Mars, this is coming through.
Exactly.
And they're utilizing the magnetic anomalies to come through, and now we can see these stronger areas where we're going to find these doorways.
I mean, several years ago, I think it was only actually probably 4 years ago, NASA announced very quietly that they're investigating what is referred to professionally as electron diffuse regions. What they are is a stabilized portals between us and the sun. But what we're actually considering is the fact that these areas of electron diffuse regions are scattered around the Earth. And probably not only that, because the evidence will point towards that these objects seem to be coming out of the sun and coming out of the moon. We've got videos, we've got photographs of this happening, how they're utilising. Now, recent statistics would say, on a global basis, that a UFO is seen every 8 seconds. Now, you can imagine that, George. How many UFOs are they really around, statistically speaking? Now, we're being very conservative here, with the statistics here.